Right, what have I got today? It's a big bush. Listen to this. That was more of a crunch, but okay, we'll let that slide. Right, something new from Milwaukee. This is just a quick one because obviously this is in the box, but I have taken the damn corner off these god-awful clamshell things that are a nuisance to get into unless you've got a samurai sword. But anyway, I was able to get in, so I haven't used them, but I have used something similar. Let me have a look. I do have a 1/4" square, which is the smaller. These happen to be the deep impact versions. These are the standard, so just bear in mind there is a standard version and there is a deep one. Some people need deep, some people don't. On these one, I just happen to get these on a good deal, so I have used these, but that's not what the review's about, but that just puts that into context. So these are the 3/8 of an inch, so just bear in mind you need to make sure whatever size you are using or what ratchets you have or what setup you have. On most of my stuff, I think I did a review on the Draper where I've got a 3/8 of an inch square drive. This is the same. This is the Zyklop. That's just the area that I tend to work in. I realise you can go down to the 1/4 and up to the half. It depends what you're doing. I'm not a mechanic, so if I was a mechanic, I'd probably go up to the half. It depends. It depends what you're working with. So I'm not saying you've got to get that size. No. And again, I'm not an expert. I keep saying that in this channel. So just bear in mind, buy what is useful for you. Anyway, so this is the Milwaukee SHOCKWAVE Impact Duty. What on earth is SHOCKWAVE Impact Duty? Well, you know, what's all that malarkey about? Well, it's basically just a load of sort of advertising speak, isn't it? I mean, we'll take it out here and then I'll show you more closely what it is. But it means it is an impact proof setup. So take that out, get rid of that. Stick that in the bin. We'll keep that so we can have a little look at it. So they are claiming this is a 9-piece. It's not really a 9-piece. It's 8 sockets and a converter. So bear that in mind. So if you're thinking, oh, 9 sockets, it's not really 9 sockets. Because look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then there's the 9th piece that they are claiming. So let's get a nice close look at this. Just bear in mind, that's plastic. Well, rubbery kind of plastic. Look, it's got a little bit of a, you can put an indent in that tiny bit. And then this is cheap plastic. But I did get this really cheap, and that's why I got this. And then how does it stick on here? So that is wobbling about. I don't really like that. I mean, I'll take that straight off. And in my Vito Pro pack, I've got a pocket just for converters. So that's your 1/4 there to the square. I'll just prove that that does work. So here's an impact driver that I use. Boom, straight in. And then let's check it. Yeah, sticks on the collet. And then when you want to take it out, obviously you would do that. Yeah, that's fine. Let's try one of those. And again, like I say, these are impact rated. So if you were going to use that in an impact driver like this or an impact wrench, you should be okay. So let's see how easy these come off. So not particularly easy. So you've got to yank them off. And then let's get a close look at this. So you can see there is a ball detent there. And let me check that. Yeah, that is spring loaded there. It's not just like a friction fit. Okay, so you've got that, which then goes onto here. Let's get a nice close look at this one. They're not color coded like the Vera stuff. So some of the Vera stuff, I think Sealy may do something similar. There's a couple of other manufacturers where they will color this differently, so you know which one. So if you're dealing with a couple of different fasteners at the same time, you can say, right, well, I need a purple and a blue, and you can keep doing that. And I use that on the hexes as well, but you're not getting that with the Milwaukee here. I'll get you a nice close look there. They are deep. So when I say deep, what I'm talking about is the markings. So they've ground that out and then put paint in. I like that. Although how long that lasts in a greasy environment is, you know, you can be the judge of that. And then it does have a marking on the top there. So in regards to the numbers, this is the Milwaukee, and it's the 4932 4804 54. Bear in mind, be careful because there is a standard, like I say, and there is a deep. So if you need deep, make sure you're getting that, because some sites are idiots and they're putting it on and you click on it and you go, well, that's not even the one that it's claiming to be. But in regards to fit and finish, pretty nice. Let's stick it on the Zyklop here. Let's see what the quality is like. So, hang on. Hope they do it properly. Right, so is that coming off? No, fit and finish. Let's give it a little. Not a lot of wiggle on there, is there? Not a lot. Does it stay on? Not particularly. But that's not really the design of the Zyklop. It's got a very small detent there. So, okay. Well, it feels pretty solid. It should be okay. And it is impact rated. And it's a standard hex there. So it's you can get these ones with different fins and different designs. And then they'll say, oh, we'll do multiple sizes and all this. Okay, maybe. But this is a standard setup. And then let that come off. So it's not going to stay on particularly heavily, but that's not really the design of this. Let's try it in their own converter here. So pop that on and you can see the ball goes in there, but you can do it the other way around. So if I take that off, it doesn't have to be like that, so you can put it between them there. A lot of people don't realize that. Then it would, although that's not locking. So on this one, because I've got somewhere, you've got the detent there, but then you've also got a groove. Let me get a flashlight. Let me have a little look here. Has this got other grooves? It doesn't. Right, so that's interesting. So it has these detent holes, which obviously you know what the purpose of that is. You've got a ball detent there, but I've got sockets where on the opposites of these there's also a cutout. Now there isn't on this, so you have to align that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I definitely have sockets where you don't have to do that. They've got like a little ground out on that and that. So okay, so you have to put it on in a specific. That's a bit annoying. Okay, so if you do put it on like that, watch, easily comes off. Whereas if you put it on the proper detent, you're really having to. Good God, I can't even get it off. Yeah, you're really having to make the effort. Okay, so just bear that in mind. It doesn't have the ground outs on the opposites of the ball detent there. So, okay, I'll mark them down a little bit for that. But I'm not going to give this a full review because I've literally just opened the pack. That'd be very unfair. So it's working on my Cyclops. Their own converter works fine. I'll give this a shot on some bits and pieces during the week and I'll let you know how I go. Let's get a nice close look at that. So 3/8, quarter there to the 3/8 square drive. And then what's this like? Let's give this a little. Yeah, that's pretty solid in there. And it is spring loaded there. Well made, no scuff marks, no scarf or anything. And it's coated. So what is this made out of? This is a crowel, well, they're claiming it's crowel moly, and I'll put it through its paces and I'll be brutal with it, so we'll see. Now, I trust Milwaukee. I've never really had bad stuff from Milwaukee. It just lasts, and I can kick it about and it still works. So we'll get a nice close look at the biggest one here. Get the flashlight out so you can get a nice close look in there. So the coating goes all the way in. That's pretty well made. Yeah, I can't slag that off at all. Look. I'll get you a nice close up in 4K there. There you go. That's a bit better. You can see inside. Yeah, pretty impressive. Well made. So it is coated. It's got like a traumatization on the top there. Paint job's pretty decent. Seems to have a little bit of light machine oil on there, which I don't mind. I put ballastol on stuff. And the lettering or numbering is pretty good. Whether that lasts or not, I don't know, but I'll bash these around and we'll see if it does last. And there's the square drive. Yeah, you can see they've put a little bit of oil on there. So like I say, just bear in mind you've got the detent on the left and the right, but the other cardinal points you don't have a ground out, which I definitely have on other sockets. I've got some in the garage there. I'll have to go and have a look. Yeah, nicely made. The one thing I'm not so keen on is these are a bit annoying. I do prefer the Vera ones. I've got some Vera ones at work. Well, I do, but I can't find them. And they are twist lock ones. I prefer twist lock, where you put them on, twist it, it locks, and you go counterclockwise to take them off. Yes, this works, but it's more irritating, especially when you're doing it like one-handed or you're up a ladder or whatever, because you can have this hanging off belts and stuff. In regards to the Milwaukee ones, you've got a hole there, which I'm presuming they are expecting you to sort of stick a fastener through there or whatever, but just bear in mind that, listen, this is plastic, so are the ends, and that there, plastic, it's all plastic apart from the ball bearing there. So a little bit, they've cheaped out a little bit there, but quality of the sockets looks really good. So you have an 8, a 10, a 12, a 13, a 14, a 15, a 17 and a 19, and just bear in mind that these are not the Imperial ones, these are the metric ones. Everything I use is metric. I don't really own a lot of Imperial stuff because it's a thing of the past where I live. I'm not saying it's a bad or a good thing, it doesn't really matter. What works for you is the right tool, but for me it's metric. So pretty decent, and I'll give you one last close-up of this with the light on it. There you go. So again, I've done this 4K. I try and get away with the highest quality I can, but YouTube keep dropping the damn quality. But well made. I can't see any defects on that. What looks like defects on that seems to be just oil. So if I scrub that off there, you see, pretty nice surface. Is that a little dent there? You see, just next to where my thumbnail is. Let me feel that. Maybe. No, it's more oil. Yeah, it's just a bit of oil. So well designed. You can see the corners of that square are slightly rounded out. Anyway, this was just supposed to be a quick video, so I've tried to keep it like that. So these are the 9-piece, but it's not really 9-piece, it's 8-piece. And there's the model number. Milwaukee, it's the 3/8. Again, you can get different sizes depending on what tools you need. They are saying it's the longest lasting markings they've ever done. So in other words, they've ground that out and then they have stuck in some white paint, which I like. I like that. And then they're saying, you can see there's an impact wrench, a couple of impact wrenches there. So you can see that it is made for the higher end tools. So yes, a hand tool's one thing, but if you are using, impact drivers and things like that, just bear in mind, you're better off getting the impact rate stuff. Otherwise, chances are your stuff's going to fall to bits. I've used non-impact stuff in an impact briefly, but you do it and you kind of grit your teeth and you think, oh, is it gonna break? Is it gonna break? And when it doesn't, you sort of go, yes, I feel like I've won the lottery. I've got away with that one. I've got away with it again. But try and go for the proper stuff. Converter's okay. I've got loads of these anyway, but at least you get one with it. Right. So chrome moly. Standard, these aren't the deep ones. I can't give it a marking yet because it's basically just out the clamshell, and I'll give you a close look at there. So there's the 17, the 15, 14, 13, 12, and on you go. And again, plastic, so they've cheaped out on that, which I'm not a fan of, and this is all plastic, and I prefer the twist lock. Put down below if you think I'm right, because for me, I like being able to do things one-handed. That's kind of why I like things like the Milwaukee switchback and things like that. Sometimes when you're up a ladder, you don't want to be mucking about, and I prefer that. Not that I'm saying, you could do this at the bottom of the ladder and put them in your pocket and then go up and down, but you're wasting time. But anyway, maybe I'm overthinking it. Right, thanks for joining me. I'll let you get on with your day. Goodbye.